Okay, so now let's actually go over this assignment and see what you we expect you to do. Now you can easily follow this on your own, so I'm going to be really quick explaining my expectations for this particular activity. So here the idea is for you to learn how to structure a particular scientific article written specifically in the ecology context, right? So that's actually what we are trying to teach you in this particular activity. When you learn how to structure a paper, when it's up to you to write your own one, it becomes easier, right? And by the way, the article you write on your own is going to be much more scaled down, but still, the learning that I expect from this activity is extremely important, not only for the rest of the lab, but also for the rest of the semester as a biology student. Um, so the paper that is provided to you through Blackboard through the same link that you downloaded this assignment, you can access that particular paper, Wood et al. 2017. That paper revolves around the life expectancy, survivorship of chimpanzees, and the context of that paper, its analysis, its goals, its hypothesis, all of those are very similar to the human demographic activity that you will follow through, right? So so because of that, this is reading this article, like breaking it down, is extremely helpful for you to understand how to do your own assignment from next week onwards. As a start, to start the outline, the first thing to do is, as you see in this particular Word document, label intro, discussion, intro, methods, discussion, yada yada yada, like all of that sections in, well, to be a little bit more precise, intro, methods, results, discussion, literature cited, all of those sections, label them as A, B, C, yada yada yada, right? So like you see, introduction, this is A, B, right? And then the third one is C, right? And this will be D, E, F, right? Like that. And then when you actually get to, let's go to the actual paper, right? So so for the abstract, there is only one paragraph, right? So it's just A, right? So you go on A, B, and then when you finish introduction, you start labeling here again A, right? B, like that. So within each section of intro, methods, results, discussion, literature cited, acknowledgement, in all of those sections, label each paragraph from A. Now, note that in your paper, the sections of Wood et al. Labeled methods, results, and discussion are long and broken into um, labeled subsections. Like, intro is just one section, but if you go to methods, you're going to say 2.1, 2.2, yada yada yada, right? So, for methods and results parts, right, it's also, other than, aside from actually putting letters, you can also just use those subsection numbering, right? But that subsection numbering is only in available in methods, results, and discussion. Um so instead of numbering, you are welcome to use the existing subsection numbers. And now, there's a table down the road. When I go on, you're going to see a particular table that kind of is where you are supposed to fill in the outlining component, right? So first, keep reading, paragraph by paragraph, section by section, right? So when you read each paragraph in each of these sections, we are going to ask you to do two things, right? For each labeled paragraph or section, the outline should answer two different aspects. One, what does it say? What does that particular paragraph, what information does it convey, right? It's a quick overview, rather very short, in few sentences, right? I mean, don't write anything longer than the paragraph, right? Short and sweet, but complete answer. What does it say? What did you gather by when you read it? The second part is, what does it do? Meaning, well, what is the purpose of that information, right? In order to structure that particular paper, in order to drive a particular overall message, what function did it serve? That's basically what we are looking for. So and remember, like, first you outline the text part, and after you finish the text part, there is a follow-up outline for the tables and the figures and literature cited. So do not forget those parts. Let's keep navigating. So the first paragraph of each section are outlined for you as an example. So you are not required to outline you are not required to outline those things we have already discussed. Don't add anything, just read and understand what we have done, right? For example, let's read the first for the first paragraph of introduction. What does it say? Brief description of the background on chimps, describes their lifespan and reproductive age, relative growth, development, and longevity to body size and brain size. So it's kind of examining what we know, right? Seems like that's kind of laying the foundation. What do we know about the ecology, or the biology, about the evolution or history of chimps? Now, what is the purpose of that information? Opens the whole paper with a big picture background of what is known about growth, development, and longevity. So remember what I mentioned about the overview, right? About the first remember what I mentioned about the purpose of introduction section, right? Remember what I mentioned about how to start the introduction. Big picture, overall picture, right? So you have to tell me for this case, right? The purpose, what does it do, is to open up a broad theme with respect to chimpanzees biology, right? It's painting the background information. It's telling us the knowledge thus far. As simple as that. So A is done for you, and what you have to do is we do not require you to read the entire introduction and to summarize each and every paragraph. Okay, do not do that. All you have to do is, like I mentioned over here, you must pick the last paragraph. First one is done for you. Pick the last paragraph, right? And on top of that, like you mentioned over here, right, for the introduction, you must outline the last paragraph. And in addition to the last paragraph, I want you to pick 2 more paragraphs from the rest of the introduction and outline it, right? Okay, so just 2 more, right? 2 more plus the last paragraph. And then how about the methods part? In the methods part, again, do not outline the entire method component, not all paragraph. Read 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 paragraphs and outline them over here, right? So again, the first paragraph is, outline is completed for you as a direction. 2.1 paragraph in methods. Describe the study site in Uganda. That's the purpose, right? Usually, like any paper, the very first paragraph in methods describes the location. Where was this study being conducted, right? What kind of habitat types are available there, right? Kind of a background on that particular specific locality that the study is going to be focused on. Purpose of that. Well, the purpose is kind of straightforward. It gives the reader an idea about the basic information about the study site, right? So again, like, think about when the biggest actor of the purpose of methods overall is to make sure the procedures are transparent, to be very clear about your procedures, to explain what kind of statistical analysis have been used, to explain what kind of procedures, protocols have been used for data collection, right? So repeatability is important for the entire methods section. So keep that in your mind, right? So the very intro lecture I did, all these basic explanations I went through will definitely guide you to write the methods to outline the methods part. Now let's go to the results. Well, what do we need you to do in terms of the results section? For the results section, pick any 3 subsections that corresponds to 2.2 and 2.3, right? So subsection 2.1 in methods was related to study site. So in the results, you will not find something corresponds to 2.1. So you leave 2.1 out and look at 2.2 and 2.3, right? Where do you find the best connection between the results sections and 2.2? What sections corresponds best with 2.3 versus results? So pick any three subsections from results, not paragraphs, subsections from the results that relates to 2.2 and 2.3 and outline them. The same principle for discussion, right? So you picked three subsections from the results, right? Skim through the discussion. Just skim through the discussion and you will immediately realize what sections of discussion corresponds best with the three subsection of results, right? And then outline those three subsections, right? So it is as simply as that, right? Now, I am not asking you not to, am I asking you to not to outline the entire paper? Well, if you really want to, if you are die hard, if that's what you desire, yes, you should, go ahead. But when I grade, I'm only looking for these requirements, right? I'm not going to, am I going to take points off if you do too much? No, I'm not, right? If you do too less, yeah, but if you do more than I ask, I'm not going to penalize, right? I will only look for just those required sections in terms of outlining. And in fact, just doing those sections is good enough for you to understand the contents of the paper and to understand how to write in sciences. More than enough, right? Now, return to the methods and the results section and read about each figure and table and take a look at the figure and table being described. So, okay. For figure 1, 2, 3, and 5 and table 1, 2, describe the following information. So again, there are so many figures and more tables, but we are again cherry picking, about 4 figures and 2 tables. And based on that, I want you to describe these things. Now again, understand this principle, right? The figures that you see in a paper are standalone, right? Even just by reading those figures, you can understand what exactly it shows, what purpose it serves, right? So those are standalone. So you don't actually have to reread results section again or methods again, right? If you want to do that, by all means. But in sciences, figures and tables are designed, written, produced to be standalone, to be independent. So what is the first reference to the figure or table, before or after where it is placed in the text of the paper? So here's the idea of that particular question, right? So when you create a particular figure or a table, and I mentioned it is going to be standalone, but in the text we have to refer to that, right? If it is table 1, somewhere in the paper, right, it should actually refer to table 1. Let's actually just take a good look at the paper real quickly. That is table 2. Let's see what the figure 1 is. I think the figure 1 might be, oh, that's the table 1. Okay, that's table 1. Let's see. So it's actually appearing in what page? The second page on the paper, that is page 42. Let's look at where we actually see the reference to table 2, table 1. Okay. It's not coming up. That's weird. I think this is actually a scanned image, so it's harder to figure it by that. Yeah, the control F doesn't work because this is a scanned image of the paper, not an actual write-up. So table 1 appears first here, but let's see where it first appears. There you go, right? It's actually still within the introduction. They actually refer to a table, which is kind of weird. We normally don't see that, but it's not completely wrong, right? So it's actually, your answer could be for that question, it's within the last paragraph of introduction when they describe the analytical procedures that they are going to follow, right? So like that, mention the context, what section you see it and in what context you see it. It's just like 2 sentences. That's all I want to see, right? And let's take a look at where's our table 2. That might be in a different section. Yeah, there's table 2. Let's try to find where we refer to table 2 in the text. You don't have to go that far, right? It's within the results section, right? In the results section, you actually find the references right over there, right, with reference to describing results of the life expectancies and birth rate and all of that, right? So as simple as that. The same regarding table 3. Table 3 also occurs right in the results section in the very first paragraph when describing the male female demographic ratios. So as simple as that. It's, that's all I want to hear, right? Oh, this is figure 1. Where do we first see the references to figure 1? Okay, it appears over here in the paper, and look over there. That's where it refers to, right? So it's again, where is it? It's in underneath the results section, right? And what context? Well, when describing the survivorship with respect to age, right? When they describe about the mortality, right, or survivorship at different age classes, they actually refer to first figure. That's all I need. That is all I need to hear in terms of that question. Right. So do that for table 1 and 2, figure 1, 2, 3, 5, right? That's it. And I actually already showed the context of the table 1 and 2, right? And others are not, and as well as figure 1. So all you have to figure out is 2, 3, 5 by yourself. Do all of the graphs have these components? You know what error bars are, right? Now, for example, if you navigate over here, this graph does not have an error bar. Well, does it have labeled axes? Absolutely it did, right? Look at that, age, survivorship. It does. Axis titles. Well, axis labels and axis titles. Actually, let me go back over here. This age is an axis title. Survivorship is an axis title. This 1 through 0, 1 through 65, those are axis labels. So answer is yes to both of those. Units in the axis titles? Let's see. Well, units, age. Well, age does have units. It should say years. So I'm kind of disappointed in that one. Survivorship doesn't have units. It's a ratio. So that doesn't require units. But age should have had. See, like even some papers have mistakes. And then units in the axis titles, similar y-axes, the same units. Well, I am not sure about that, but I would units in similar y-axes, the same units. Well, in that case, actually, well, no, right? In that case, definitely no. We don't have like similar y-axes. Similar bar patterns. Let's go back and see. Well, it doesn't actually have bars. They have line graphs, so it's not even applicable, right? Well, in either case, the pattern is not the same. There are 3 lines right there. It's not similar, right? And captions. It did have a caption, right? I don't remember what it is, but look at this. It actually has captions, right? And you can answer the same questions over here, right? And some of those points may not be applicable, right? For example, a line graph does not have anything related to bars, so you can actually just write not relevant. Particularly, both of these are line graphs, right? So if the question says similar bar patterns, actually this is not a bar graph. You can write that. And let's move on. How do the authors distinguish between different categories of information, in particular for figure 2 and 3 in particular, right? How do authors distinguish between different categories of information? The first example is done for you, right? What does that figure say? Here the example is figure 1. Survivorship of both sexes combined for go-go population, right? So, and what does it do? Okay, well, how do you get this? What does it say? Look at the caption. If you read the caption, you know what it says, right? What does it do? Meaning, what's the purpose of that? Show the reader the trend of the survivorship curve, right? So it kind of shows the trend or the patterns or the direction of the survivorship, right? As with respect to age. What is in the caption? Well, that what does it say and what's the caption? They're very, very similar ones. So what is in the caption? Rather than copying and pasting the caption, you can mention the point of the caption. Like, what does the caption try to show you? Like, what does it try to say? The same thing regarding tables, right? So there are table 1 and 2. We have done table 1 already for you. Look at the table 2, right? And look at the way we have described the table 1 example. Do the same for table 2. And literature cited or reference section of a paper, right? That's the section we are going to go to next. List of just the sources cited on the ones cited and used to develop the paper, meaning like whatever you cite in text in the introduction discussion for the large part, and sometimes in the methods part, whatever the literature you cited over there, you must list all of them at the end within literature cited or under references, right, or under bibliography. So the paper by Wood et al. Uses this reference section. Note that each paper that is cited in the text of the paper is listed in this reference section with all of the authors, right? It lists all the authors of the work cited, and it tells you whether it's a journal, whether it's a book, whether it's a book section, whether it's a technical document. It provides all of this information, right? And further, we want you to further examine the section by answering the following questions, right? In what order are the citations? Well, what do I mean? Are the citations written in alphabetical order, starting from A, B, C, D, all the way up to Z? Is it chronological, meaning the order in which it appears in the paper, right? So it's either or, right? It's going to be either chronological in the order of appearance or alphabetical, right? And sometimes reverse chronological, but that's again chronology, right? So just tell me which way it is, right? So what you do is, you can actually go into the the very last section. That is going to be the very last section. Well, it seems like, it starts with A and ends with C. You know what that means. And it is not a surprise in ecology/biology. Most of the journals use alphabetical order, right? A few journals like Science, Nature use chronological order. Second question, what information need to be listed in a citation? So let's break few citations. Look at this one, right? The example citation. Authors, check. Year of publication, check. The journal in which that particular study was published, check, right? The volume of that particular journal, check. The page range of that particular paper, check, right? So that's actually what kind of information you find. Generally, this is applicable for any citation. Authors of the paper or authors of the cited product, year that product was published, the title of the work, title of the paper or a title of the book, right? And then if it is a book, you can also mention that the press where it was published is also mentioned. If it is a book, the total number of pages in the book is already there. If it is the journal, the volume of the journal and the page range, right? So, if you scroll through this particular article, you can actually see most of them are either books or scientific journal publications, right? And here and there over here you can actually see it's citing a particular statistical application, right? So in that case you actually see again the author of the statistical application, the year that application was published, name of that application, and a link to download that. So as you scroll through, and this is also a neat example, that one, right? So that also is a unique kind. It's a book chapter, right? So it says author of the book chapter, year the book was published, the title of the book chapter, the name of the book, right? And then the name of the editors of that book, publisher of that book, title of that book, and the page range of that particular article, right? So actually that covers most of the critical type of citations you find in any scientific article. Here and there you might find a citation for a database, a citation for a website, right? And sometimes you could find a technical report, and technical reports are not that different from a book, right? Here's an example for a book, right? Author's name, year published, name of the book, and here they have even mentioned the edition of the book, publisher's name, right? The location of the publications. And it's kind of surprising they don't mention the page range, but normally you are required to mention that. Anyways, so that's actually how do you answer this particular question. Last question. List one of the citations from the reference section and label it with the information you listed above. So just pick just one. Randomly pick any of the citations from this paper. Anything you like, right? Or hate. And break it down, right? This particular part, right? Authors, blah, 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 blah. The year publication, 2002, right? For example, let's go by, what the hell? I'll do an example for you. Look at this one, right? Potts, comma, what? Authors, right? Well, and rank them. 2011, year of publication, right? Comparative feeding, ecology of blah, 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 blah. Title of the research paper, right? And International Journal of Primatology, Int J Primatol, right? Name of the journal, right? You don't have to expand the actual name. Nope, just Int J Primatol, right? 32, volume, 669 to 690, page range, done. That's it. And that is all that you have to do. So remember the rules. You have 1 week to complete this assignment. This will take like a couple of hours at most. Well, take as long as you want. You know how to reach me if you have any questions. Don't forget to drop in for the office hours should you need those. And don't forget to submit this through Blackboard when you are done within a week. Alright guys, I'll see you in another week. Bye bye. Have a good one.